Let's talk a little bit here about data collection. So some common sources for data would be a published source. So these could be like online databases, like Bureau of Labor Statistics, um, Census, Census Bureau, etc. Government agencies. Designed experiments are another source. Designed experiment is where the researcher has full control over your experimental units, and they have control of the treatment groups in the experiment. A common example of this would be an FDA drug trial. So in those drug trials, the researchers have full control over what's going on because they want to isolate as many variables from interfering with the results of the experiment. They want to see what is the true effect of the one variable that they are interested in. Another source of data would be an observational study. Here, the researcher does not have control over the units. They just observe. So they'll collect information and they can organize it and try and draw conclusions from it, but they don't have control. So your units here are sampled and observed. So a common example of observational study is a survey. That's not the only type of observational study. You can also have, in medicine, a lot of times you have cohort studies. And things like case studies. So these are where sometimes you'll pull people from medical records, and there can be randomization in picking your sample here, but they don't have control over the variables in the study. Everything has occurred, or if it's prospective, it will occur, but they're not exhibiting control. They're just recording observations. Now, when we pick our sample, we say that it's representative if it has the typical characteristics of our target population. So if the sample is very similar to the population, it's characterized as representative. How do we make sure that samples are representative here? Well, there should be some type of randomness involved in picking your sample. So we need a random sample. Now, just randomly picking items is only one type of sample. We'll see later that there's actually several types of samples. But a random sample is going to be one where every subset of the same size, so like every subset of size 10, has the same chance of being included in the sample. Now, that's roughly equivalent to saying that everything that's in the sample had the same chance of initially being chosen. Well, let's look at an example here. So example 4, we want to know what percentage of internet users are addicted to internet pornography. To find out, the Barna Group designed a survey of 8 questions that were based on common criteria for alcohol addiction, and they made it available via twitter.com. So Barna is a big research group, and they do a lot of research related to religion and morality issues in all different areas. So a sample question was, for example, does viewing internet pornography interfere with your normal daily responsibilities? So those are those types of questions, and then they'll score them with a Likert scale. You rate how much, and then they'll aggregate the results. So we had a total of 28,655 internet users that responded to the survey. If the responder answered yes to more than half of the questions, so I guess they didn't use a Likert scale, they used a yes/no, they were considered addicted. So, and this is not an exact science. Different researchers would have different criteria for what they would consider as being addicted. The findings revealed that 8,122 respondents, or 28.3%, were addicted to internet pornography. So it's actually quite a large social problem. In fact, they've done some studies. They found that even pastors will have a lot of temptation in regards to this issue. So something very relevant in our day. We want to know, what is the data collection method? Okay, well, they did a survey here. So that's a survey. This is an observational study. They did not have control over what was going on in the study. What is our target population? Okay, well, we're looking at internet use. So I would say that our target population here would be all internet users. And I mean, you could be more specific if you wanted to. So there's a little bit of leeway here, but we'll choose a more general population of interest here. Are the sample data likely to be representative of the population? Well, it's a survey. Okay, so probably not. So the data was collected by a survey, so it's not going to be random. In fact, this is a topic where people might be reluctant to answer the question. So no, it's not random. And then, people may not want to answer. In fact, probably a lot of people, may not want to answer. They may not feel, good. If they are users of pornography, they may not feel good about answering those questions. So you get a lot of times you get what's called non-response error. Non-response bias here. There could also be, denial. So those are all issues related to survey. And then there's one more issue in here. They disseminated this survey via Twitter.com. So that could miss a significant part of the population. So, Twitter.com survey may miss. Can't write here. So it may miss part of the population because they're only going to address those that are Twitter users. So that might be a certain demographic. There's an awful lot of Twitter users nowadays. They've got over 100 million regular users, but not so long ago it was, maybe only 20 or 30 million. So it might be more selective. So there's definitely lots of issues in how the data was collected, and when you are analyzing an observational study or even an experiment, you want to be asking these questions about how the data was collected to try and decide whether the sample is representative or not. If it's not representative, your conclusions are only as good as the data you collect. So if your sample's not representative, that could be a good indication that your conclusions may not be accurate.